The letter was a good explanation for bank account application, meaning the letter that we wrote that was a template for PayPal, that where PayPal was asking us to prove that we were filed with the Secretary of State before they would keep our accounts. And we gave them that letter and they left us alone. We had to give it to them twice. But it doesn't seem appropriate for all suppliers. I like the local suppliers to accept my online store as a distributor and sent products via drop shipping method. Suppliers will want to obtain a resale tax ID, sales tax permit, business licenses, etc. in their online manual dealer application form. I need something that can explain all of the exemptions and not sounding too harsh or weird to the suppliers. Joseph, we really, I have all of that, meaning I sell my own products. So I'm not worried about getting a notice to somebody of my exemption or something into the private. So these are all letters that, people are creating for themselves. And if you want, create something, we'll look at it with you and make some tweaks to it with you just to help you out. The reality, and I agree with you, you don't want to sound like a weirdo, but when I first opened my bank account, it took me 4.5 hours. By the time I was done, they were turning the computer screen towards me and they were asking me what to put in the fields. First time I opened my PayPal account, I had to go through 3 tiers. And by the time we were done, we were laughing, having fun. There are all kinds of ways of getting things done without applying to the rules that these vendors are maybe requiring of people. The one thing that I would help them be noticed of is the fact that you don't have a lawful requirement, number one. Number two, you can't obtain those numbers because of the type of entity structure that you are. And number three, that there would be biased in a big way if they chose to not accept your application and or your form of being able to operate. The last thing is these guys don't check, and I'm not saying what to do here, but these guys do not check the information that you give them. And you can create your own structure of numbers, like you have your own resale number in the private, and you can give that to them. There's nothing wrong with creating your own numbers. And if they're going to ask you what is my authorized number to do business, I'm going to say how many digits is, and they're going to be like 8. I'm going to hold on, let me see if I got that. Yeah, 815-261-241. And literally, they told me I had to get from the Secretary of State approval of my tax exempt status to open up the bank account. And I called over the bank manager. Bank manager comes over, very nice. I'm in a suit, by the way. I'm not a slouch trying to squeeze one past the bank. And I said, I know this to be a fact. My counsel created these docs, and he flat out says it's biased, and there's no lawful requirement for us to be registered with the Secretary of State, and that no bank would ever have a policy or a procedure that would go against longstanding law. And the manager said, absolutely, sir. Just please go ahead and put not required in that field. Now, that to me was an indicator that anything, and this was 12 years ago or 10, 15 years ago, 11 years ago. So this was an indicator to me that anything, no matter who says what, there's always an override. So as you're trying to get these things, you're not going to ever want a business license. You're never going to want sales tax permits. You don't want a resale ID. Those are all submissions to that structure. And just say I'm exempt. I'm exempt. And try it a couple different ways. Try it as a test, just so you can find out how far, or call them up and say, this is what I'm thinking about doing, and see how far you can get. But make sure that you don't end a relationship with a negative attitude, because anything is overcomable. Get the manager, get the senior manager, talk to the vice president and say, there is no law that requires me to get a business tax ID number, a resale tax ID number, sales tax permits, business license, none of that. We are a private membership association. We have a ton of members we want to sell products to, and we don't have, within the law, we are not allowed to get any of those. So if you need me to just give you numbers to put into your system to pacify your needs at this point, to allow us to set up an account, I'll be more than happy to do that for you. But they're going to be my numbers that I have applied towards myself to give to you, so that you can comply within your system and get the account established. And more than likely, you're going to find that you're going to be able to get this done. Anything, Joseph, anything you want to get done, you can get done. We live in a system that is trying to take everything that belongs to God via registration, deposits, theft, by deception, from our children to our capital, to the land, to the, you name it, it's all been stolen from man. And I refuse to comply with any of those things with anybody, ever. And there may come a time where I have to rethink things, but as of right now, operational, 10 years, 0 complaints from members, from vendors, from anybody, because we are operating above board. They make their money. They make their 2-3% on merchant fees. They're happy with us. I'm not really happy with paying anybody anything for anything, but yeah, I'm happy that the services are able to go through, and it is what it is. We have to be staunch in our ability to stand up for God. And that means stop worrying or placing, and hear this from my heart. Stop worrying, or placing value on what they say their needs are, because they're really not that important. We often give, especially people from China and Australia, and the people that have been hammered, like really oppressed, you give value where you don't have to their authority over you. Your authority comes from God. That's it. Your articles stipulate that. You are not allowed to contract with these entities as the structure that you are. You can't. So don't. And be firm on that with a smile.